moment.
Like good old Zero fashion, I had a beautiful one take that I wasn't unmuted for. So, take number 2, as per usual.
I've been waiting my whole life, yeah.
Welcome back to the show. My name is Zero Sadu, and I'm trying to bring gaming to non-gamers and non-gaming to gamers because, I don't know, that's about the best way I've been able to vocalize that. I've had a very busy week. I'm still in the stint of my busy work season as a bartender, and that being, it's been very hard for me to even have the energy to play games. Over the course of the week, I did stream a couple of games. We got back to Remnant 2, a little bit of Baldur's Gate, but not as much as I'd like to. And of course, we have Sea of Stars that dropped recently. And that's about as much as I got because I almost immediately fell asleep. Not because it's a bad game, but because I'm a growing adult and I get tired. Again, fantastic looking game, sounding game, but it's we'll get back to that later. This is why we never take vacations into the Shadow Realm, guys.
Sister never told me.
Oh shit.
So many ages.
Over the course of the week, we did get to beat Remnant 2. I didn't get to record the ending of the game as it happened off stream, and it was kind of just like randomly. We kind of hit the end very quickly and just hit that stride, and I just didn't record it. It was great. The game's ending was awesome. It locked itself in as a solid 9 out of 10 for me, and one of my favorite games of the year, honestly. One that just sets the bar, man. It sets the bar so well as a third-person cooperative experience with a really strong game loop and a ton of replayability, because no matter how many hours we spent in that game, which is about 70 hours, and a few different restarts, as well as campaign rerolls, which I mean differently, as in like I started a couple of different characters, but then we eventually kind of took a stride on one full character, and then like we got stuck, and then we re-roll the campaign on that character, which is one of the gameplay loops that you can do. If you feel like you're getting stuck, you just re-roll it, and because it's procedurally generated, each re-roll can feel like a very unique experience. But all that being said, we finally caught our stride. We made through our first complete playthrough, and there's just been an absolute buttload of things to find, and it's gotten to the point where like we feel like we're warm, you know. It's kind of like, hey, you know, like something's here, something's around. What the heck is that? I think we can get there, but how the heck do we do it? And with no, listen, man, I you know, eventually we had to go to Google, like, how do we get to this thing? And then like the answer is like, that spider nest opened up a portal when you fed it a heart. We've seen some like, hey, there's an invisible wall here. You just kind of had to like fall into it. That's kind of how they made that puzzle. And it's like, okay, you got us on that one. And then we found this other puzzle where it expects you to like go through this sequence of, I don't even know how to explain it. I don't want to give it away because like I really don't want some of these secrets to be unfolded, mainly because like part of that experience is learning, that is going through the frustrations and being curious, and I think that has been an awesome experience. So we've tried to keep our innocence and curiosities mostly tip free, but every now and again, you know, just for the sake of speeding along the process of it, because we've tried and we gave up. We collectively as a team said, I give up. We know there's a destination. We see the thing in the distance. We have no idea how to get to it. How do we get to it? And the answer makes us go, in this corner? Oh my God, bro. What the fuck, man? This game. It's honestly an amazing experience. And I genuinely have just continued to want to savor it. And me and the guys, like, I won't play it solo because I'm a strong believer in the curation of my experiences. And as good as the game can be solo, and for those of you who might not have party members to play with, you know, I definitely think you can play the game. It's enjoyable. And it's going to be a challenge solo, but I think the game absolutely shines as a cooperative experience. And well, of course, if you're looking for players to play Remnant 2 with, hop on in the Discord and we'll find you a party, because that's what we do here. Shoot, I'll play with you. Although, you know, put your quarter up. But Remnant 2 continues to be an absolutely fantastic experience. I can't recommend it enough. It's easily worth the purchase. You get it on sale, you get it on the console. It's one of my favorite games. Next to, of course, Baldur's Gate, which continues to be a game where I'm like, man, I'd love to play some Baldur's Gate today. But again, with a curated intention behind Baldur's Gate, it's another game where like I don't want to I do want to play the game solo as I'm working on some solo content. I'm creating my own story, my own playthrough with a few different playthroughs. There's my own personal challenges I want to do, which is the multi-class achievement where you're supposed to go through the entire game only with one level in every multi-class without ever respecking. So that's an awesome challenge, one that I'm like setting for myself, and it requires me to almost parallel playthrough where like I kind of have to get some foresight so that when I make that build, I'm not building incorrectly. So I've taken a lot of slow stages into that game. With 70 hours in the game and never leaving Act 1, it is also a game that continues to surprise me with all these secrets and ways you can interact. And everybody else's playthrough seems to net other rewards and results. And it's like five, usually when you have a couple of people who've played a game for well over 20 hours, after a while, like we've all kind of touched a little bit of everything in the game. It becomes something very easy to metagame, but Baldur's Gate continues to just have so much complexity and depth where metagaming it is almost doing itself a disservice. The exploration and the reward beyond the exploration is fantastic.
That's a rock. We don't have a chance here, man. That's cool.
Wow.
Fucking A. That was great. We get nothing from our corpse, but fuck, at least we survived.
Did I blink and lose and miss all that?
Yeah. No!
What
Could
happened?
we? Okay, I gotta fucking clip that. I literally spaced on that, bro.
We killed this chick too.
I-
Oh no.
Oh no!
Do we load because
Playing through same spots over and over again. On this character, I went to this spot and did this thing, and on a different character, I went to the same spot and did an entirely different thing. And on a third character, I did the same spot one more time and decided to just murder somebody because what happened? And surprisingly, even like murder hobo gameplay can net really different results because if you kill somebody in a certain order, you're gonna get different story outcomes, and it's awesome. And it sets the bar so high for RPGs, so much so that the commentary has been other developers saying that that bar is unrealistically high. And I think that's kind of bold. Like a lot of gamers are starting to get to a point where expecting quality is not unrealistic. We as gamers only have so much time in our days, in our months to catch up and play some of these games. And whereas it's fun sometimes to just kick back and relax with a couple of hours of some free-to-play game that you like. We also like to digest something of complexity and depth, something that has passion and value behind the purchase. When you compare your values and you get these free-to-play games with shallow gameplay loops, and then you get these other $60 purchases that are unpolished turds, mid-tier at best, you start to wonder where we as consumers should be really spending our money and time. And I usually bring back around to the conversation of the curation because how we engage with this value is important. How we create that space is important. So some of these live service games, although riddled with microtransactions and shallow game loops, can become more sustaining experiences when you begin to envelop community interactions and metagaming and strategizing and team building. But when you have these solo player games that are just like, slogs to get through, that has poor writing and, and they try to justify these big productions. And it's like, nah, man, like this is garbage. Like this, and honestly are dead on arrival. And thankfully, we've just had a very good collection of games released recently that have blown my expectations out of the water because I try to keep my expectations relatively low. And I try to remind some of our gamers that it is a little unrealistic to keep our expectations through the roof with certain games, especially when developers are trying to be transparent with what they are developing.
And thus, balance is achieved. If all are at war, none can win. Very well. I am satisfied.
That being said, Armored Core recently released as well. And Armored Core takes, by the way, fantastic game. And I've been struggling with that. It's one game that I spent a solid stream doing when it released, and it brings back a level of polished nostalgia because the commentary of friends that's saying that it falls to echo the familiar pacings of the original trilogy. And I think they do it well. It doesn't go with these open world tropes. It chooses a mission style approach, and they're very digestible chunks of gameplay loop with, again, tons of reward for the time invested. But boy, did I find myself struggling. It is a hard game to really get a hold of, and I think one that should be held at a higher regard for establishing a true to idea and not bending in any way. They didn't create an easy mode. They didn't create these other gameplay tropes to try to appeal to a broad audience. They appealed to the audience of Armored Core players, of that mech fantasy, and they saw a goal in mind and they developed with that goal in mind, and I think they nailed their goal. Any expectations beyond that, for instance, the expectations of something the game doesn't offer, like, say, spaceflight, or something that isn't Armored Core, would be the kind of expectation level that I think is like, well, save that for something like Starfield, for it. You know, keep your expectations reasonable within what is being advertised as a product. And you're welcome to be skeptical about certain things or not even enjoy what people are delivering. But the idea here is we as gamers just don't have the time to do it all. We're not going to spend $60 here, $60 there, $60 there, $60 there. I do it. And even me, it's like, well, I don't have any time to play these good games, but I'd like to fill my shelf with good games. And I think this year we're finally seeing some good games after maybe being let down over the course of a couple of years. And I could be wrong. And if you disagree with some of them, please let me know.
Ammunition at 10%.
I'm sorry, Raven.
Humanity has always hunted for knowledge in the unknown. The wonder is, not that the field of stars is so vast, but that we have measured it.
Starfield is on its way out here in less than a week, and I know this is a big talk. I know people talking about this game. Another game that I've kept my eyes relatively off of. I don't need any spoilers. I hear there's a documentary floating around. I like to see developer docs, but I really just want to keep my expectations mitigated. And I want to dive in with a sense of wonder, a curation of my experience. Some people just want to get headfirst into the meta, dive deep, learn the systems, try to game the game in a way. And I think that's fine and all. I think that's cool. I don't know if that's going to net the same results, right? When you start to meta game and try to break the game a little bit, you begin to start seeing the seams of its development. You start to, you still should put yourself aside. What's the word? Cast aside your disbelief to maybe have a more memorable experience. And a game like Starfield, which has this insane scope of space, our minds can potentially go beyond the scope of the reasonably so, because I think the developers do the same. I think we get to a point of like, this would be so cool. And then eventually you have to bring it back down to a way that you can actually develop a game. And it's reasonable to expect that Starfield will probably, I have expectations that the game will potentially start showing its seams sooner than later. But this might also very well be the best polished Bethesda game that we have seen, period. And I'd love that, because Lord knows I've complained about the Fallout franchise in the past, and I genuinely don't like their open world style of RPG, but I do love space. So I'm here for it. Okay, Bethesda, you got me. That being said, there is just an endless amount of games coming out. I'll definitely talk about what that is in a future video. I've talked about it in videos in the past, and the gauntlet is looking good this year, honestly. And for once, I may not even have to mention Call of Duty. Damn it, I did it. Okay, well, that's fine. I'm looking forward to even what Nintendo's got to offer during the Gauntlet season. And I'm going to find some time to play these games once my work schedule lights up a little bit. And we're getting there, because about past Labor Day weekend, I'll finally be able to start breathing a little bit more, as there'll be no money being made at the bar. So I got to start getting more into my hobbies and recreational activities, because Lord knows there's worse ways of spending that time.
What is it? What?
Okay, I'm heading off. I'll see you soon, guys. Thanks again. This week, we're going to end the video a little differently. I wanted to give a highlight to a community member and friend, Amadou Pendragon, who is the only one in our community so far to have cleared the Chapter 1 boss in Armored Core 6. And I can't believe this encounter is giving us such a hard time. We're all very close, but it is hard. If this is Chapter 1 boss, I'm actually worried that I may not finish this game anytime soon. But hey,
Oh, come on!
markings of a good game.
Oh my god, that's so hard to dodge. He's almost dead! Let's go!
Still